Well, hello there, gobbles and giggles to you. I'm Dean the Turkey Legster. Welcome back to another Once Upon a Turkey Leg. There we go. Thank you for joining me tonight. I am looking forward to tonight's stories. Last week, I started a series that is um, Disney princesses, which is going to be broken up for several weeks, and I'll explain that towards the end of the stream. But anyway, welcome in. Happy Thursday. Welcome in, Jennifer Caruso. Hello. And Tina McNeil or T. McNeil and Chuck. Hello. Welcome in to the stream tonight. So tonight's stories, and I'll get with those in a minute here. Tonight I am reading stories featuring Sleeping Beauty or Princess Aurora, and I actually watched Sleeping Beauty this afternoon in preparation for the stream. It had been so long since I watched that movie, but I did that today. Very enjoyable. Oh, Chuck says hi. Um, um, what was I saying? Yeah. So I watched Sleeping Beauty, and I'll talk about what's coming up on the show towards the end of the after the stories. So anyway, why don't I go ahead and read the stories, since that's why we are here. So here we are with our first story tonight, and it is Disney's Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty. Okay. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a king and queen. They longed to have a child, and after years of waiting, their wish came true. Their daughter was born. They named her Aurora after the dawn because she filled their lives with sunshine. To celebrate her birth, the happy king and queen declared a holiday. Guests traveled from near and far to visit the tiny princess, including 3 good fairies named Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. Each fairy would bless the princess with a single magical gift. Flora blessed the child with beauty. Fauna gave the gift of song. But before Merryweather could cast her spell, a gust of wind blew through the great hall. In a flash of lightning, a dark figure appeared. It was the evil fairy Maleficent, who was furious that she was not invited to the party. I, too, have a gift to bestow on the child, she said with a wicked grin. Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die. and with that she disappeared in a burst of green smoke. The king and his queen were panic-stricken. Flora tried to calm them. "Don't despair," she said. "Merryweather still has her gift to give." Although her magic was not strong enough to undo the curse, Merryweather did have the power to help. And so, with a wave of her magic wand, Merryweather declared, "Not in death, but just in sleep, the fateful prophecy you'll keep. From this slumber you shall wake, when true love's kiss the spell shall break." Oh, hi, Carol. Kirky, welcome in. Still the fairies thought, perhaps there was an even better way to save the princess from the curse. What if they pretended to be peasant women and raised the princess as their own in a secret far-off place for 16 years? If Maleficent could not find Aurora, how could she harm her? The rueful king and queen sadly agreed, knowing it was the only way they could protect their daughter from Maleficent. They watched with heavy hearts as the fairies changed themselves into humans and disappeared into the night with the princess. By morning, the fairies and the princess arrived at an old cottage deep in the woods, which became their home. The fairies stopped using magic and pretended to be Aurora's aunts. They called her Briar Rose, so no one would learn of her true identity. That would keep her safe from Maleficent. The years passed quickly, and before the fairies knew it, Briar Rose's 16th birthday had arrived. To celebrate, the fairies planned a surprise. They would make the girl a beautiful dress and a delicious cake. But first, they had to get her out of the cottage, so they sent her to pick berries. Briar Rose enjoyed strolling through the woods. As she walked, she sang to the forest animals who had become her friends, all the while dreaming of a tall, handsome prince. Little did she know that a real prince just happened to be riding through the forest that very morning. "Hear that?" the prince said to his horse, Samson. The sound of Briar Rose's sweet voice had drifted over to him. The prince was enchanted. He had to find out where it was coming from. Eagerly, he urged his horse into a gallop, but as Samson leaped over a frog, the prince fell off. He landed in a creek with a most undignified splash. "No carrots for you," he scolded as he climbed out of the water. He laid his hat, cape, and boots out to dry. At the same time, he couldn't help but wonder about the voice he'd heard. It was almost too beautiful to be real. Maybe it was some mysterious being, he said. A wood sprite, or a but his thoughts were interrupted by the shocking sight of his wet clothes beginning to fly and hop away. Briar Rose's animal friends were stealing them. "Why, it's my dream prince," Briar Rose declared when the rabbits and birds appeared before her, dressed in the stolen clothes. "You know, I'm really not supposed to speak to strangers, but we have met before." And while the real prince looked on, hidden behind a nearby tree, Briar Rose began to sing and dance with her dressed-up forest friends. As Briar Rose turned away, the real prince quickly stepped in. When he began to sing with her, she spun around. "Oh!" she gasped. Her three aunts were always warning her to stay away from strangers. And yet, there was something so familiar about him. She couldn't help but feel that they had met before. Once upon a dream. Long into the afternoon, Briar Rose and the prince sang and danced together, and before either one could help it, they had fallen in love. When Briar Rose finally returned to the surprise party that awaited her at the cottage, it was her aunts that were most surprised. "This is the happiest day of my life," Briar Rose said with a sigh. Then she told them about the young man she'd just met and how she'd invited him to the cottage that evening. "This is terrible," moaned Flora. "You must never see that young man again," she explained to Briar Rose. That she was already betrothed, and had been since birth, to a young prince named Philip. "But how could I marry a prince?" Briar Rose asked. "I'd have to be—" "A princess," Merryweather finished. The fairies then told Briar Rose about her real parents and her real name. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather changed themselves back into fairies, wrapped the princess in a cloak, and set off for the palace immediately. They arrived at the castle just as the sun began to set. The poor princess was so sad about not being able to see the young man from the forest again that the fairies left her for a moment so she could collect herself. But as soon as they were gone, a wisp of green smoke appeared and lured Aurora up a tower to a hidden room. Slowly the smoke took the form of a spindle, and Maleficent's voice filled the air. "Touch the spindle," she ordered. Aurora pricked her finger on the spinning wheel and fell into a deep sleep. The only thing that could save her was true love's kiss. Unfortunately, Maleficent had locked the prince in her dungeon. The good fairies found him and discovered that he was Prince Philip, the same prince who was betrothed to Aurora. They gave him enchanted weapons to fight Maleficent, though the evil fairy changed herself into a fierce dragon. She was no match for the prince's bravery. or his magic sword and shield. He soon defeated her. Prince Philip raced to the palace and knelt beside the sleeping beauty. Ever so gently, he kissed her on the lips. He sighed with relief as she opened her eyes and smiled at him. Soon a grand, joyous wedding was announced. True love had conquered all. And that is the end of Sleeping Beauty. Let me see what we have here. Karki says, I used to listen to my 45 record of Sleeping Beauty over and over again. Oh, that's cool. They do have, if you use Spotify at all, they do have, and this might be the same kind of thing. They have a series called Storyteller, I think it's called. And they have a bunch of the Disney stories that are narrated, and they even work in some of like the music from the movies there. Tina McNeil says, I've always said that plan would have worked if they've waited one more day. That is very true. But the other thing too that I noticed today when I was watching is that the fairies, when they're making their birthday party, surprise birthday party, and they decided they would finally bring out their magic wands again. They said, we're not going to take a chance. We're going to do this magic thing, but we're not going to take a chance. 2 minutes later, Merryweather and Flora are having a fight over the silly dress on what color it's going to be. And so they're going back and forth at it, doing their, make it blue, make it pink, all that. And so they're going back and forth, and the crow, the Maleficent's crow flies by, sees all the colors. So if they had been, so yes, they could have waited one more day, but they also should have actually been more careful. So we just, yeah, they're taking a chance. Blue, pink, blue, pink. Yeah, so it's Carol, it's called Storyteller. And I'll have to double check. I think I even went through and found a bunch of the titles and put them in a playlist. I'll have to look that up. I'll look at the end of the stream, towards the end of the stream. But for now, I'll look that up and tell you what the actual name of the playlist is that I made. But for now, we have a second story to get to. And this is featuring Aurora and our friends in Sleeping Beauty. This is Aurora's Slumber Party. Aurora's Slumber Party. Okay. Princess Aurora loved being married to Prince Philip and living in the castle. But she missed her fairy friends, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. One day, Philip told her he had to visit another kingdom overnight. Why don't you invite the three good fairies to keep you company while I'm gone? He said to Aurora. That's a wonderful idea, Aurora replied. I'll send them invitations right away. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather were excited when they got their invitations. But when they arrived at the castle, Aurora was wearing her pajamas. Surprise! Aurora cried. It's a slumber party. You'd better change into your pajamas too. There's Aurora and Prince Philip at the castle, and then the fairies are there for the party. The fairies quickly changed into their pajamas, then used their magic to fill the room with music. In no time at all, everyone was dancing. The party was off to a great start. Aurora took each fairy by the hand and whirled her left and right. As she twirled Fauna, Aurora's nightgown suddenly turned a lovely shade of blue. There's the first picture. They're dancing. And she turned a lovely shade of blue. Oh no, that won't do at all, Flora said. She pointed her wand at Aurora and turned the nightgown pink. Not so fast, cried Merryweather, turning it blue again. Back and forth the nightgown went until finally it settled to its usual color, whatever that is. Suddenly, Flora picked up a pillow and swung it at Merryweather. Merryweather ducked and grabbed a pillow of her own. Fauna and Aurora stopped dancing and watched the fairies' pillow fight. Then they looked at each other and grabbed their own pillows. Soon the room was covered in feathers, and the friends were out of breath from laughing. All that fighting has made me hungry. Maybe we should go downstairs and make a snack, Merryweather suggested. In the kitchen, Merryweather made herself a triple-decker berry sandwich. It looked so good the other fairies raced over to make their own. Soon the kitchen was abuzz with activity, everyone making their own bedtime snack. Oh, hey, Tim, Tennessee Bear. Great to have you in. Happy Thursday. Flora picked up her sandwich. As she bit into it, a dollop of cream flew across the room right onto Aurora's face. Oops, Flora said. I'm sorry, Princess. But Aurora wasn't upset. In fact, she was laughing. Slumber parties were all about having fun, and she was having a great time. Let's read a story, Aurora suggested when she and the fairies went back upstairs. She and her friends gathered around the bed, and Flora read to them. Soon the fairies began to grow sleepy. Flora set the book aside, and everyone went to sleep. Everyone, that is, except Flora. She was still too excited from the night. She tossed and turned. She flipped and flopped. And then she accidentally bonked Merryweather on the head. Oh my goodness. Merryweather woke up and rubbed her head. Ouch, she cried. Why did you hit me? I didn't mean to, said Flora. It's just that I can't fall asleep. Well, now I can't sleep either, said Merryweather. All of their chatter woke up Fauna, who suggested they try counting sheep to fall asleep. Flora and Merryweather agreed that Fauna's suggestion was worth trying. They lay down again and began to count. One, two, three, Flora counted. All of a sudden, her sheep turned blue. 12, 13, 14. Merryweather counted her blue sheep. But just when she had almost fallen asleep, Merryweather's sheep changed from blue to pink. Blue, she cried, and changed them back. Pink, Flora said, and the sheep changed color again. Soon the two fairies were sitting up having another argument, but this time they woke Fauna and Aurora. There's some crazy sheep going on there. Aurora asked what was wrong, and the fairies told her all about the pink and blue sheep. Maybe there's a better way to fall asleep, Aurora said. She sat up and began to sing a lullaby to the fairies. As her sweet voice carried across the room, the good fairies closed their eyes. Soon they were all fast asleep, even Flora. Ah, that's better, Aurora said, and then, humming the lullaby softly to herself, she pulled up the covers and went back to sleep. And that is the end of Aurora's Slumber Party. And that is our second and final story tonight. Let me look up the playlist on Spotify that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Wonder if I still have it. Oh, I know you. I walked with you once upon a dream. I know you. The gleam in your eyes is so familiar a gleam. And I know, here we go. So, this is the playlist on Spotify. It's called Disney. What's it called? Disney Storyteller. And go on Spotify, My profile is Dean the Turkey Legster. It'll be easy to find, and it's my same logo that I have. And it's got a lot of the stories that you love from Disney. It's a 26-hour and 23-minute playlist. One little note, though, some of the stories are in multiple parts, such as the Frozen over here, where you have Frozen Storiette part 1, 2, and 3. So make sure when you are on the playlist for those that you don't have the shuffle selected. And that'll only work if you're using a premium account. But that would be one thing to watch for on the playlist, is some of the stories are in multiple parts. But I have a lot of them. I think there's probably other stories that I didn't find yet, but it's called Disney Storyteller. Disney Storyteller, and that is on Spotify. And I will put the link in the comments when this stream is done. So that for Carol and anyone else who's on Spotify, look for that link in a little bit here when I finish the stream. And speaking of finishing the stream, I am going to go ahead and do that in a moment. Next Thursday is May the 4th. And for the month of May, Once Upon a Turkey Leg is going on a small hiatus, because for 4 weeks, for 4 shows, it's going to be May the Turkey Leg be with you, and we'll be exploring the galaxy far, far away in stories, and I look forward to doing that. The next 4 streams, and then coming up in June, I will be returning to visiting with our favorite princesses. And the next princess up in my series is Jasmine from Aladdin. We'll be hearing from Aladdin, and actually from Jasmine and Aladdin. I didn't have stories that were just Jasmine, but I have stories that are all the Aladdin characters. So we'll be enjoying those coming up in June. Join me also on Sunday night for Drumsticks After Dark at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Drumsticks After Dark. And next week, I expect to be launching on a regular basis Tuesday at noon, the Newsflash Disney. If my schedule prevents me from going on Tuesday, I will be going as a backup plan on Wednesday. So watch your notifications, and I will see you then to talk about news coming out of Disney World. Yes, thank you, Dawn. Also, if you're on Facebook and would like to connect with myself and other friends, creators and friends and supporters of creators, I'm on Facebook. I've made a Facebook group, the Turkey Legster Hub. Use that link, or you can search the name of the group, the Turkey Legster Hub. And I would love to have you in the group if you're not already. So with that, thank you everyone for watching, whether you are watching live or watching on the replay. Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram also. Thank you, Dawn, for putting that there. Instagram, the Facebook group, connect with me, the channel, and yes. So again, thank you for watching. Have a gobble-tastic evening. And remember, you are the magic.